Watch a wealthy person handle money, and you'll notice something strange. They spend it easily. They give it freely. They don't obsess over every dollar. Now watch someone who's always broke. They grip every penny. They agonize over small purchases. They live in constant fear of running out. And here's what Rumi discovered. That behavior, that tight grip, that obsessive protection, that's not keeping them safe. It's keeping them poor. Because the universe reads that energy as I don't trust, there's more coming. And when you don't trust, there's more coming. There isn't. Wealthy people spend freely, not because they have more money. They have more money because they spend freely. Because they understand the one truth that poor people never learn. You can't receive with a closed fist. Think about that for a moment. Picture your hand clenched tight, gripping something precious, holding on with everything you have. Now try to receive something new while your hand is still closed. You can't, because a closed fist can't hold anything new. It can only protect what it already has. And that's exactly what you're doing with money. You're gripping so tight that nothing new can flow in. Rumi spent years observing human behavior. He watched merchants in the marketplace, traders, businessmen, poor laborers, wealthy landowners, and he noticed a pattern that had nothing to do with how much they started with. It wasn't about their education. It wasn't about their connections. It wasn't even about their opportunities. It was about how they held money, how they related to it, how they moved it through their lives. The wealthy treated money like water. It came in, it flowed out, it circulated. They didn't panic when they spent. They didn't obsess over losing it. They trusted the flow. They knew more would come. And because they trusted, it did. The poor treated money like a rare gem, something to protect, something to hide, something that if lost, could never be replaced. They hoarded. They saved obsessively. They made every financial decision from fear. And because they operated from fear, they stayed stuck in scarcity. Here's what most people don't understand about wealth. It's not about accumulation. It's about circulation. Money is energy. And energy doesn't accumulate in one place for long. It moves. It flows. It circulates through the world, finding open channels. And when it finds someone who holds it loosely, who lets it move, who trusts the flow, it stays in that channel. It keeps flowing through. But when it hits someone who grips tight, who hoards, who stops the flow out of fear, it stagnates. And stagnant energy doesn't multiply. It dies. You've seen this in your own life, even if you didn't recognize it. Think about a time when you had a little extra money. Maybe a bonus. Maybe a gift. Maybe just a good month. What did you do? If you're like most people struggling financially, you immediately thought about protecting it, saving it, not touching it, because the thought of spending it created anxiety. What if I need it later? What if this is the last extra money I ever get? What if I regret spending it? That anxiety, that fear, that's the signal. That's the energy that tells the universe you're not ready for more. Because if you can't handle a little extra without panicking, how would you handle real wealth? If a few $100s creates that much fear, what would a few thousand do? What about a few million? Rumi observed something fascinating. The people most afraid of losing money were the ones who lost it most often. Not because they were careless, but because their fear created the exact circumstances they were afraid of. They made desperate decisions. They missed opportunities because they were too afraid to invest. They stayed in situations that drained them because leaving felt financially risky. Their fear of scarcity created more scarcity, and the cycle never ended. But the people who treated money lightly, who spent it without anxiety, who gave it freely, who invested it boldly, they attracted more. Not because they were reckless, but because they understood something fundamental. Money flows toward trust, toward openness, toward people who know how to let it move. This doesn't mean being stupid with money. This doesn't mean spending everything you have. This doesn't mean ignoring savings or planning. It means changing the energy behind your financial decisions. It means moving from fear to trust, from gripping to flowing, from protection to circulation. Let me give you an example. Two people make the same salary, same expenses, same life circumstances. One saves obsessively. Every dollar that comes in, they lock away. They never eat out. They never buy anything beyond absolute necessities. They live in constant anxiety about money running out. The other person saves too, but differently. They save from abundance, not fear. They enjoy their money. They spend on things that matter. They give freely. They invest in themselves. And here's what happens. The first person stays stuck at the same financial level year after year. The second person keeps growing. More opportunities come. More money flows in. Better positions open up. And it's not luck. It's energy. Because when you operate from scarcity, you broadcast scarcity. Every decision you make, every word you speak, every choice you prioritize, it all says I don't have enough. There will never be enough. I have to protect what I have. And the universe reflects that back to you. You get exactly what you expect. More situations where you don't have enough. More reasons to protect. More evidence that money is scarce. But when you operate from abundance, even with little, you broadcast something different. You say, I trust the flow. I know more is coming. I can afford to give. I can afford to invest in myself. I can afford to circulate this energy. And the universe matches that frequency. Opportunities appear. Money comes from unexpected places. People want to do business with you. Because abundance attracts abundance. Scarcity attracts scarcity. Rumi told a story about a merchant who lost everything. His ship sank. His goods were stolen. His investments failed. He was left with nothing but a single gold coin. And everyone told him to save it, to protect it, to hold on to it desperately because it was all he had left. But he did something strange. He went to the marketplace and bought a meal for a hungry stranger. People thought he was insane. You just gave away your last coin. Now you have nothing. And he smiled and said, now I have space for everything. That night, someone knocked on his door. A man he had helped years ago, before he lost his wealth. The man had just closed a business deal and needed a partner. Someone he could trust. Someone who understood the flow of commerce. And he offered the merchant a position that would rebuild his fortune. The merchant said later, when I held that last coin with a tight fist, it was a wall between me and opportunity. When I released it, when I let it flow, I opened a channel. And wealth rushed back through that channel. Most people hear that story and think it's about karma. Do good and good comes back. But that's not the point. The point is about energy, about openness, about trust. The merchant wasn't gripping in fear. He was flowing in trust. And trust creates space for receiving. Fear closes that space completely. Look at your own relationship with money right now. Be honest. When you have money, what's your first instinct? To protect it? To hide it? To make sure no one knows you have it? To spend it as little as possible? If so, you're operating from scarcity. You're broadcasting the energy of not enough. And you'll keep experiencing not enough, no matter how much you actually have. Or do you feel relaxed? Do you trust that more will come? Do you spend on things that matter without anxiety? Do you give freely without calculating the return? If so, you're operating from abundance. And you'll keep experiencing abundance even when circumstances seem challenging, Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not poor because you don't have money. You're poor because you relate to money like a poor person. You grip. You hoard. You make decisions from fear. You protect obsessively. You see every expense as a loss. You treat money like it's finite, rare, and about to disappear. And as long as you do that, you'll stay poor. Even if you somehow acquire wealth, you'll lose it, because your energy won't be able to hold it. Rumi said something that sounds paradoxical, but is actually the key to everything. He said the more you hold on to something, the faster you lose it. And the more you release something, the more it multiplies. Because holding comes from fear. Releasing comes from trust. And the universe only gives abundantly to those who trust. This is why wealthy people can lose everything and rebuild quickly. It's not just their skills or connections. It's their energy, their relationship with money. They never grip. They never hoard. They never operate from scarcity. So even with nothing, they're still abundant. And abundance recreates itself. But someone who's always been poor, even if they win the lottery, often loses it within years. Because their internal relationship with money hasn't changed. They still grip. They still fear. They still operate from scarcity. And scarcity recreates itself too. So what do? How do you change this pattern that's been running your entire life? First, you become aware. You start noticing when you're gripping, when you're making decisions from fear, when you're hesitating to spend on something that would genuinely improve your life, when you're obsessing over small amounts, when you're hoarding instead of circulating. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Just see it clearly. Second, you practice releasing. Small amounts at first. Buy something you've been denying yourself. Not recklessly, but something reasonable that you've been saying no to out of fear. Give money to someone who needs it, not expecting anything back, just to practice the energy of release. Notice how it feels. Notice the fear that comes up, and breathe through it. Third, you change your internal dialogue. Stop saying, "I can't afford that," even if it's true in the moment, because that statement reinforces scarcity. Instead, say, "That's not a priority right now," or "I'm choosing to invest elsewhere." Feel the difference? One says scarcity. The other says choice. And choice is abundant. Scarcity is poverty. Fourth, you start treating money like it's abundant. Even when you have little, you organize it. You respect it. But you don't worship it. You don't grip it. You let it breathe. You spend on things that matter. You give freely. You invest in yourself. Not recklessly, but from a place of trust. From a place that says there's more coming. And fifth, you watch what happens. You pay attention to how opportunities start appearing when you release the grip. How money shows up from unexpected places when you stop obsessing over it. How abundance starts flowing when you stop blocking it with fear. Rumi's observation wasn't spiritual philosophy. It was practical truth. The behavior that keeps you poor isn't lack of effort. It's the tight fist, the fearful grip, the obsessive protection, the scarcity mindset that broadcasts "I don't have enough" and creates more of exactly that. Wealthy people aren't lucky. They're not more deserving. They're not more talented. They just understand the flow. They know that receiving requires an open hand, that abundance responds to trust, that money is energy, and energy moves toward openness. You'll never be rich while you're gripping in fear. You'll never experience abundance while broadcasting scarcity. You'll never attract wealth while treating money like it's about to disappear. Because all of that sends one message to the universe. I'm not ready. I can't handle it. I don't trust the flow. But the moment you open your fist, the moment you release the fear, the moment you start trusting that there's more coming, everything changes. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily, consistently, because now you're aligned with the energy of abundance. And abundance flows toward itself. The question isn't whether you want to be rich. The question is whether you're willing to stop doing the one thing that's keeping you poor. Whether you're willing to release the grip, open the fist, trust the flow. Because until you do, no amount of hard work, no opportunity, no windfall will change your financial reality. The behavior that blocks wealth is fear, and the behavior that invites wealth is trust. Choose which one you want to practice. Your bank account will reflect your choice.